the innate functions of horse behavior. We need to understand the horse language and talk to them the way they understand, not the way we understand as humans. They have a language, they communicate with each other, and this is what we need to apply. They are hierarchical by nature. Okay, if you put them in the field, there is a leader. It's a leading broodmare, it's a stallion, it's a dominant horse. There is always a pecking order. Okay, so that said, the handler, the human on the ground or the rider becomes the leader. That's a position that is important to have. If you don't have the leading role, you can imagine that it creates a lot of issues. The horses are goal-oriented. When they want to do something, it's always for their safety. You know, like when they're in the wild, they're alert, like they run away from like a predator. Or there's also aggression, flight, like they run away from a threat. Okay, then they have the desire for social, like they want friends. You know, social. Then very easy eating, drinking, sheltering, and rest, sleep. Basically, long story short, they had their own needs and then have to be aware of this. But to finish on this is that it's just important for first to have the horse in a relaxed state for first principle, because if he's not relaxed and have all these things going on, he's the boss, he's hungry, whatever he needs, then it's going to be harder to teach him anything.
I'm going to give an example.
Yes.
So like a horse bucks, like in nature, because they're trying to get the wolf or the cougar off.
Exactly. Yes.
So it sounds stupid, but we need to explain to the baby horses that we're not going to eat them. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
So if I go to grab a horse or go to get on a horse, and in the back of their mind they still think that I'm a predator,
yeah,
boom, they're going to eject.
Yeah.
If the horse feels the need to dominate me, he's going to stand up to make himself bigger to a predator.
So it's very
or
easy.
he's going to bolt and run away.
Very easy as a human to take it personally as our understanding of the behavior, but this is horse behavior. So, second, principles. I want to talk about the principle of learning. So after making sure we understand the horse and we speak the same language, how we got to teach them what we want them to learn. So they can learn by conditioned learning. I'm not saying you have to do that all the time, but horses learn that way. Like treats, click training, basically there is no initiative or instinct. It's just conditioned response, you know. So they can learn that way. They can learn operant learning, which means that the horse will initiate movement on his own, and by a reward, he understands that, there is no demand. He just does it, and then we're like, yeah, it's good. And imitation. Horses will imitate. If you run in front of them, they'll start running behind you. You know, it's like they just imitate. All this, you can use it to your advantage, basically. You can teach things in different ways. Some horses will always wait for you to tell them what to do. Some horses will start taking initiatives, and so you use that to your advantage. Another point here is the importance of a positive and negative reinforcement. I'm going to add or remove pressure. So pressure will create discomfort. So negative reinforcement, it's like create discomfort for the horse. So no pain, discomfort to decrease the behavior. Okay, so the behavior is not what we expect him to do, and discomfort decrease the bad behavior. And then we're gonna reward. We're gonna reward to increase good behavior. It's important to be fair on this. No human emotions, okay? If we angry, upset, tired, it's not the horse fault, okay? We have to be focused on the behavior, okay? Too much discomfort will lead to conflict of motivation. So if you're too hard on them, then they're just not going to understand, and then they're not going to learn. It's not going to work. And if the positive reinforcement is desynchronized at the wrong time, etc., then the horse is not going to associate the good response to that. So it's important to be effective and synchronized. So now we're going to teach them something. Now we need to understand different horse temperament. They're all different. You know, that's why writing is interesting, is that they have different personalities. That said, what we're going to do, we're going to put them in unfamiliar situation, and that will create a reaction from the horse. And they're not all going to have the same. So that's where a lot of experience will say you know what to do, but they're all going to have a different reaction from their new place, new friend. These reactions depends on their character. Okay, so you have flighty horses. Some of them are confident. Some of them are internalizer. They're all different. Will depend on the environment. If it's calm, everybody's going to be calm. If there's chaos, everybody's stressed out. For each reaction, that's an opportunity of learning. Every time we have a reaction, we can teach them something. Okay, and that's the opportunity to reassure, positive reinforcement, or reinforcement of leadership, which pretty much means I'm going to guide you, I'm going to tell you what to do, you need to follow my lead. And they'll do that in the wild, like one horse will go through the stream, the others will follow, okay? So when you tell him come in the water, he needs to follow your leadership. So reassurance and reinforcements of leadership sometimes will happen simultaneously. Sometimes some reaction are driven by a fear, but also a little bit of a strong mind, and the horse will go to that really quick. Same example, he doesn't want to go in the water. Reinforcements of leadership. He tries to make one step forward. Reassurance. He's not in the water yet, but reassurance. He backs up and do like crazy stuff. Leadership comes back to you. Reassurance. So it's both at the same time. And that comes back to if you're too much, then they don't learn anymore. They just switch off. Consistency is very important. You can't just do something one day, wait for like a week, and then expect them to be okay after a week of doing nothing. You have to be a little bit consistent for them to progress. Our sessions are very progressive. The space between the prescriber, the expectation, prescribe, work, what we're planning to do, and the response of what we actually doing. There is a space of leeway here, a space of freedom. They're very, very young. So if it's not exactly what I want to do, it's okay. It's not a big deal if they don't do it right away. Respect physical integrity of the horse, which pretty much means that we can't do too much. So we keep our sessions about 45 minutes, 1 hour, and no excessive repetition. Number 4, locomotion of the horse. It's essential to understand the way he moves a little bit, just to understand some of these behavior. But the first thing is horses, when they start moving, they'll move their head first. So before they even take their first step, they'll move their head first. So you would think that they move their legs, but no, they make a head movement, and then so sometimes it's up, sometimes down, sometimes to the side. Why this is important? Because if you want them to go somewhere, what you're probably gonna do is gonna ask you to come to you and have some type of action on their head first. In basic word, you're gonna do a traction on the halter to ask them to come to you. A horse that spin, you'll see that he'll put his head to the side and spin. To go forward, the horse can either follow the hand of the handler if you're on the ground, but also the hand of the rider if you're on his back. They can also go forward by a flighty response. Lunging, you push with the whip, the horse go away. So to go forward, there's two ways. They either come to you or you push them away. But if you want them to go somewhere, you apply this. So we actually do the same thing on the ground that we're going to ask them to do when we're on their back. There will be nothing new to them. Number 5, I want to talk about the age of horses, because there is a lot of discussions about this. I can give our opinions, but basically we have here, we're going to back some 2.5 years old. There is some 3-year-old. So we like to start them at 2.5 years old in the fall right now. But on this topic, if you start early, it's a little bit like humans. When babies or young kids are out, they learn a lot. Like they're very flexible. You can teach them how to play with the ball, bite. That's where they learn. When they're much younger, they experience a lot of things. We think that there's no problem studying them younger. You just have to assess the workload. And that's very important. It depends a little bit on the age, of the size, and the breed, but just to give a little bit of an idea. So for example, the 2-year-old, they're going to do 2 weeks, right now, 2 weeks and then 3-year-old, 3 months. So when they turn 3 in the spring, 3 months, 3 times, okay, they're already back. So we back them when they're 2. So 3-year-old, 3 months, spring and fall. This way you do enough in the spring, you do enough in the fall. You don't work them when it's super cold and miserable, and you don't work them when it's super hot and miserable. 4-year-old, same thing, 4 months, 4-year-old, 4 months, 4 times per week, spring and fall, and then keep going. 5-year-old, 5 months, so they'll work, 5-year-old will work 10 months out of the year, vacation in the work 5 months, 5 times a week, and 6 years and older competition horses, then you just adapt the workload depending on how much competing you're doing, basically.